Hey, I'm Kate Martin here on set with Athleta, and we can't wait for 2025.
I just had a family full of athletes, love playing sports, making the WNBA roster. That's always been.
So, Kate Martin and Lexie Hull. They are the two, people are joking and being like, oh, it's, when they played against each other, it was the Caitlin Clark friend derby. That it was two of Caitlin Clark's best friends, one of her best friends at Iowa versus one of her best friends at, in Indiana. They played against each other, and now we are seeing the two of them being the faces of Athleta, but it is a women's athletics.
Bench warmers to WNBA stars Kate Martin and Lexie Hull have taken their careers to the next level, not just on the court, but in the business world too. These two rising stars are landing massive endorsement deals that are shaking up the sports industry.
As one of their, obviously they haven't been posted on their own social media, but two of them are being pushed as brand ambassadors, and the two of them were added to the whole Power of She collective. And again, these are some of the good brand deals. And the thing is with the likes of a Lexie Hull is that
but wait until you hear what brands they've signed with. It's not what you'd expect.
Not being announced yet. I think there was one leaked on Twitter, and I am, as far as I'm aware, it was leaked, not meant to be announced.
And how does this all connect to Caitlin Clark's success? Stick around, because we're about to break down the biggest moves of their careers. And trust us, this is just the beginning. Let's dive in and see why Kate and Lexie's latest deals are game changers.
That, off the court, you would think that there'd be more.
Kate Martin's journey to becoming a recognized name in the basketball world is nothing short of remarkable, coming from Iowa, where she played alongside generational superstar Caitlin Clark. She was known for her grit, leadership, and unwavering commitment to her team. Unlike some of her high-profile peers, she wasn't always a star of the show, but that didn't stop her from making an impact. She played her role to perfection, helping Iowa reach back-to-back national championship games, proving that even those who don't get the limelight can be just as valuable. When the WNBA draft rolled around, Martin wasn't sure what to expect. The WNBA is notoriously difficult to break into, with only 12 teams and extremely limited roster spots. Even some of the best college players struggle to find a place, but fate had other plans for her. The Las Vegas Aces selected her as the 18th overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, a moment that stunned even her. She went from thinking she might never play professional basketball to getting drafted by one of the most dominant franchises in the league. Her time with the Aces wasn't easy, though the defending champions already had an incredibly deep roster, which meant playing time was hard to come by for many rookies. That kind of situation can be discouraging, but Martin stayed ready. She practiced hard, learned from the veterans, and waited for her chance. While she didn't get the minutes she wanted, she didn't complain, because that's not who she is. And then the opportunity of a lifetime arrived. The Golden State Valkyries, a new expansion team shaking up the NBA landscape, saw something in Martin that others might have overlooked. They saw a leader, a fighter, and someone who could be a key piece in building a winning culture. When the Valkyries acquired her, it was clear that Martin was finally going to get her shot, no longer just a role player on a stacked championship team. She now had a real chance to carve out her legacy. But Kate Martin's rise wasn't just happening on the court. The business world took notice of her too, with the WNBA growing at an unprecedented rate. Brands were looking for fresh faces that embodied the spirit of women's basketball, and Martin, with her hard-working, non-nonsense mentality, fit the bill perfectly. Her first major endorsement deal came with Levi's. The iconic denim brand saw something in Martin that aligned with their values: resilience, authenticity, and timeless appeal. Unlike flashy, high-profile signings, this partnership was built on substance. Martin represented the kind of athlete who didn't need to be the flashiest player in the league to be influential. She was relatable, down-to-earth, and genuine, which made her the perfect ambassador for a brand that prides itself on being a staple in everyday life. But the Levi's deal was just the beginning. Shortly after, Martin landed another massive partnership, this time with Athleta, a brand dedicated to empowering women through movement and fitness. What made this deal special was that Martin wasn't just a spokesperson. She was actively involved in product development. Women's sports apparel has often been overlooked, with many companies failing to consider the unique needs of female athletes. Martin was determined to change that. She spoke about how women's bodies move differently, how they require different types of support, and how many athletic brands still hadn't caught up to those needs. Athleta gave her a platform to not only wear their gear, but to help shape. And she was testing products, providing feedback, and making sure that future generations of female athletes had access to apparel that truly worked for them. It wasn't just about selling clothes, it was about representation. For so long, women's sports have been treated as an afterthought. Now, with Martin's help, that was changing. She was proving that WNBA players weren't just valuable on the court, but also in the marketplace. While Martin was making waves, Lexie Hull was also carving out her own path.
I didn't know that I wanted to play professional basketball. Really, it was like my junior year of college, and I thought that maybe I do want to pursue a career in professional basketball. I would describe my game in 3 words: hustle, heart, and competitiveness. When things aren't going my way, I lean on my friends and my family, and I can always count on them to kind of keep me centered and know like what the main thing is, and that's playing for them. So I'm just really grateful to have that community behind me. Just really grateful to be part of the league, especially seeing the growth over the past year, and just really excited about the future of women's sports.
Like Martin Hull's journey wasn't a straight line to stardom in high school. She was unstoppable, leading her team to an undefeated season and a state championship. At Stanford, she continued her dominance, winning an inset title and solidify herself as one of the top players in the country. But when she entered the WNBA, things didn't go as planned. The transition from college to the pros was rough. She struggled to find her rhythm and spent much of her first 2 seasons on the bench. For a player who had always been a star, that was tough, but Hull never lost faith in herself. She kept working, kept improving, and when the 2001-24 season arrived, she was ready. She exploded onto the scene, drastically improving her shooting percentage and proving that she belonged. A breakout game against the Seattle Storm saw her drain 6 3-pointers on her way to a career-high 22 points. That performance wasn't just a fluke, it was a statement. Lexie Hull was here to stay, and just like Martin, the business world took notice. Athleta saw in Hull the same qualities they saw in Martin: determination, resilience, and a commitment to empowering women in sports. They brought her on board alongside Martin, creating a dynamic duo of WNBA stars who weren't just endorsing products, but actively shaping them. Hull's endorsement deals didn't stop there. She made headlines by signing with Squell Feminine Care, a bold move that shattered barriers in the world of sports marketing. Women's health is still a taboo topic in many sports circles, but Hull wanted to change that. She believed that conversations about menstruation and female athlete wellness needed to be normalized. She wasn't afraid to speak openly about the challenges that female athletes face and how access to proper care and education could make a huge difference. By teaming up with Squell, she wasn't just promoting a product, she was promoting a movement. But perhaps the most unexpected deal came when Hull partner with Muff Dog Food. On the surface, it seemed like an odd choice. Why would a professional basketball player endorse dog food? But for Hull, it made perfect sense. She was a dog lover, and she cared about what she was feeding her pet just as much as she cared about what she put in her own body. Her campaign with Maeve was personal. She shared stories about her own dog, the importance of proper pet nutrition, and how she made sure her furry friend was getting the best food possible. It wasn't a traditional sports sponsorship, but that was the point. Hull was proving that WNBA players could be valuable brand ambassadors in all sorts of industries, not just those directly tied to basketball. These deals marked a shift in how WNBA players were being viewed. They weren't just being signed for sneaker deals or sports drinks anymore. They were branching into fashion, wellness, and even pet care that was a testament to the growing marketability of women's basketball. And while Martin and Hull were leading the charge, they weren't alone. Their teammate and longtime friend Caitlin Clark was setting records with endorsement of her own, with deals from Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. Clark had become one of the most marketable athletes in the country. Her success was helping open doors for players like Martin, and Hull brands were beginning to realize that investing in WNBA players wasn't just a good PR move, it was a smart business decision. As Martin and Hull continued to thrive, one thing became clear: this was just the beginning. The WNBA was on a rise, and its players were finally getting the recognition they deserved: the endorsements, the partnerships, the visibility. It all signaled a newer women's sports were no longer an afterthought. They were a powerhouse, in Kate Martin and Lexie Hull were proving that they belonged at the center of it. Kate Martin and Lexie Hull's endorsement deals aren't just personal wins. They represent a turning point for women's basketball for years. Female Athletes struggled to secure the kind of sponsorships that their male counterparts took for granted, but with the rapid growth of the WNBA and the undeniable cultural impact of players like Caitlin Clark, the tide is finally shifting. Women's sports have long been undervalued, but brands are now waking up to a simple reality: WNBA players are incredibly marketable, they have passionate fan bases, strong personal brands, and the kind of authenticity that modern consumers crave. Martin and Hull's deals prove that companies are no longer just looking for superstar names, they're looking for influential, relatable ADH athletes who connect with their communities. Martin's partnership with Levi's is a perfect example of this new wave of endorsements. Levi's could have gone with any major male athlete for their next big campaign, but they chose Martin. Why? Because she represents a new kind of athlete, one who embodies hard work, resilience, and the idea that you don't need to be the biggest star to make it. Impact. Her work with Athleta takes this even further. She's not just wearing the clothes, she's helping shape the future of women's sport apparel too. Often brands slap a female athlete's face on a product without actually considering what female athletes need. Athleta is changing that by giving Martin a real seat at the table. She's testing gear, providing feedback, and making sure that young girls growing up in sports have better options than ever before. Lexie Hull's endorsements follow a similar pattern. Her deal with Squell Feminine Care is groundbreaking because it tackles a topic that has long been ignored in sports. Menstruation is a reality for female athletes, but it's something that rarely gets discussed in mainstream sports marketing. Hull is breaking that silence, using her platform to encourage open conversations about women's health. Her MAV dog food deal, while unconventional, is just as impactful. It shows that WNBA players don't have to stay in a box. They can endorse anything from athletic gear to pet products, because their influence extends far beyond basketball. Hull's authenticity as a dog lover makes her the perfect ambassador for Maeve, proving that brands don't need to stick to traditional sports endorsements to find success. But it's not just about Hull and Martin. Their success is paving the way for the entire WNBA to secure bigger and better deals. Take Caitlin Clark, for example. She's arguably the most marketable athlete in the country right now, regardless of gender, with endorsement deals from Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. She's already redefining what's possible for WNBA players in the business world. Her success has created a ripple effect, leading companies to start looking at other WNBA stars with fresh eyes. And it's not just the top-tier superstars getting attention. The entire league is benefiting from this newfound corporate interest. Players who might have been overlooked in the past, like Martin and Hull, are now valuable assets to major brands. The impact of this shift goes beyond just money. Yes, these deals provide financial security for players, but they also elevate the visibility of the league as a whole. When you see WNBA players on billboards and commercials or leading brand campaigns, it normalizes their presence in mainstream culture. It makes people pay attention. And when people pay attention, the league grows. This has a direct effect on attendance, TV ratings, and overall interest in women's basketball. The WNBA is already seeing record-breaking numbers in viewership, merchandise sales, and fan engagement. The more players secure endorsements, the more their personal brands grow. And that growth feeds back into the league's success. But what's next? How do Martin Hull and other rising stars continue to push boundaries in the business world? One major avenue is luxury fashion. Traditionally, luxury brands have leaned towards male athletes when selecting sports ambassadors, but that's changing. Serena Williams broke barriers in this space, and now WNBA players are starting to follow suit. Could we see Kate Martin or Lexie Hull signing deals with brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, or Prada? It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Another potential growth area: tech and gaming sponsorships. Esports and gaming companies have started looking at female athletes as valuable brand partners. With the rise of sports gaming and virtual fan experiences, there's an opportunity for WNBA players to carve out a space in the gaming world. Then there's a fitness and wellness industry. More and more people are looking for authentic role models in health and fitness. Given the way Martin and Hull have approached their endorsement deals, with an emphasis on authenticity and real impact, they'd be perfect fits for brands in this space. Companies like Peloton, Whoop, and Lululemon could be natural next steps for them. But beyond individual deals, a real goal is long-term sustainability. Players need to secure partnerships that last beyond their playing careers. The biggest stars in sports don't just endorse products, they become business moguls. Take LeBron James, for example. He didn't just sign sneaker deals, he built an empire. WNBA players have that same potential with the right investments. business ventures, and brand partnerships. They can ensure that their influence lasts long after they hang up their jerseys. This is why Martin and Hull's approach is so exciting. They're not just signing deals for quick paychecks. They're strategically aligning themselves with brands that allow them to have a say, make an impact, and set themselves up for long-term success. And let's not forget their impact on the next generation. Young girls watching the WNBA today are seeing something they've never seen before. Players getting the recognition and opportunities they deserve. They're seeing role models who are thriving both on and off the court. That kind of visibility is priceless. It means that the next wave of female athletes will grow up knowing their worth. They won't have to fight as hard for sponsorships, equal pay, or media attention. Because players like Martin and Hull are paving the way right now. In the end, this is about more than just individual success. It's about changing the game. For everyone, Martin and Hull's latest endorsement deals are proof that women's basketball is here to stay, and it's more powerful than ever. The future of WNBA endorsements isn't just bright, it's unstoppable. Kate Martin and Lexie Hull's new endorsements aren't just personal wins, they're wins for women's sports as a whole. As more brands recognize the power and influence of WNBA stars, the future is brighter than ever. And let's be honest, this is only the beginning for these two rising stars. What do you think about their latest endorsement deals? Which other WNBA players do you think deserve a major sponsorship next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment in women's basketball history. See you in the next one.